1975. That's when this rum was made. And I must admit, the 1970s were a time for Guyanese rums, I think, to become something that should have been more famous faster. Now, we know that there's a number of the 1972 to 1975 range rums that were coming out about 3, 4 years ago, just before COVID hit, actually. And you could talk about the Norris Cast 1975. You could talk about the Berry Brothers and Rudd 1975. That's this one. Kingsbury out of Japan. They did, I think, a 1974 and a 1975. But when it comes to people and unicorns and the halo rums of the nation, you're really talking about Vellier. And Vellier put out a 1972, a 1974, and a 1975 Port Mourant rum, and they have become these grail quests for many with very good reason. For the most part, all of these rums that we're talking about from the 1970s are actually Port Mourant. I'd actually never found an Enmore or any others that weren't Port Mourant, but it's possible they exist. I mean, Cadenhead certainly did something there. You know, there was a tasting of a whole raft of 1960s Cadenhead dated distillations not too long ago, but I'm going too far afield. Let's just talk about this one here for a second. So this is a Berry Brothers and Rudd rum. It was distilled in 1975 on the Port Mourant still, but I don't know how old it is. I think it probably is about 30 plus years because it has a lot of similarities with the Port Mourant that was made by Norse Cask, which I rated 90 something points, as I did this one. Now, for those who know me fairly well, you know that I spent a long time in Guyana. I, got my first drunk there. I learned English there, which is why I still have that accent. And I just know a lot about the country and the culture, and I worked around the country for many years before I left it and went to other places. But when it comes down to rums, there are two major distilleries there, or rum making operations. One is Banks DIH, which is really a blender, and one is DDL. Now, with DDL, it's not enough to say that you've just got one distillery. What you need to say is which still within it, because they, over the years, ending in about 2001, they consolidated all the stills from all the plantations or estates, whatever you want to call them, into one place. Now, of course, Guyana has this long tradition of each sugar estate having a sugar factory and also having a rum distillery tacked on to it. But they started to close and consolidate, and by 2001, I think there was like about 13 stills running around the place in Diamond Estate, which is where they all are now. And if you want to know more, please get Matt Petrick's book, Modern Caribbean Rum. I mean, he really goes into depth on this one, so he's definitely the authoritative source here. But let's talk about this one some more. And Berry Brothers and Rudd is an English company that dates back to, I think it was about, oh my God, how long was it? 1698 or something like that. And this was when Widow Rudd opened her place opposite St. James's Palace. And of course, it really is a spirits emporium, but like most spirits shops that sell stuff, sooner or later they start bottling their own and they become independent bottlers of a sort, which is what she is. Now, you have to remember, when I bought this about 12, 13 years ago, we weren't seeing independent bottlers. Renegade had just kind of like done its thing with the original Renegade Frosty Glasses bottle, but we weren't seeing much of this. So to get something from 1975, I think this cost me about $80 to $90 back then, which I thought was like, oh my God, that's just so much money. But my God, now it's just like, unbelievably cheap. But what it is, it's a Port Mourant rum that's aged about 30 plus years. I can't give you more than that. It's very dark. It's extraordinarily pungent on the nose. I mean, there's just so much going on here. And this is one of the reasons why Port Mourant distillate is one of my favorites in the world. And you have leather, you have smoke, you have caramel, you've got a little bit of vinegar, you've got salt, caramels. There is just so much going on here with spices and fruits, very dark fruits like prunes and ripe apricots and dark cherries, that kind of thing. There's a little bit of licorice, there's a bit of sawdust. Remember, the Port Mourant double wooden still is actually a wooden pot still, a double retort, and quite frankly, it produces these incredible tastes, which everybody is now familiar with. And of course, it's a main component of many of the blends that DDL themselves make. To taste it, man, that is incredible. It's really not that sweet. It tests out pretty much as what it is. What's the strength of this thing? 46%, which was kind of like a thing back then. People thought that was like, oh my God, so strong. But 46% is perfect for what this is. Caden has a green label in 1975 that, they got it down to like, 38%. But this is 46, and it's just absolutely perfect. The taste is so smooth. It is caramel, it's apples, it's stewed apples for that matter. It's molasses, it has vanillins, it has caramels, bonbons, and Jesus, so much fruit in there. Just dark, heavy fruit. It's like a Christmas black cake that you would make in Guyana and send to all your friends and stays good for like 3 years afterwards. It's that good. This is a rum that I scored, as I recall, I'm going on memory here, but I think I scored it just around, just above 90, and it deserves every one of them. It's one of the best rums I've ever tried, aside from the others of its nature. I've got the two Kingsburys down in Germany that I haven't yet tried yet, but I don't doubt for a second they're going to be on par with this, just like Veliers were. The 72 has still been the best so far, but the 74 and the 75 are simply unbelievable. And if you could ever find some of this, it's going to be really pricey now because, of course, everybody knows about it. But I think it's still worth a try. If you can get a sample, go for it. If you have, of course, doors open, come anytime and try taste this stuff. The Calgary Rum Club always has a chance to try it, and they loved it. So, give it a shot yourself. And I hope you do one day, because this is one of those rums that need to be tried to see just how much and how far we've come since then. So that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed. Take care, and bye-bye.